Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Faces of UCM. I am your host, Dale Fowler. Today we have a special guest, one of the creators of the UCM Radio-The Beat, Professor Shannon Johnson. Welcome to the show today.
Well, thank you for having me.
So before we jump right into our first question of the day, can you please give us a brief overview of UCM Radio-The Beat?
Sure. It is an online streaming radio station that was developed to meet the 21st century needs of students with traditional terrestrial radio. Most people are using their phones now, so it made sense to have a streaming radio station.
Right, so UCM Radio-The Beat is an app on the Apple Store and also Google Play. So how did you and others come about this radio station?
Well, a few years ago, our radio station that we had here on campus was it was an NPR station, was sold. So we really didn't have an outlet for students to practice their craft in radio. So a number of us got together and doing a little brainstorming. As I mentioned earlier, we looked at the streaming option and figured that that would be the best platform for our students to create and produce their own radio shows, and it would meet the needs of contemporary students. So much we don't listen to radios in our cars as much as we listen to what we have on our devices. So coming up with that app-based radio seemed like the most logical choice for us.
So was there any outside resources that helped you create this station?
Yeah, we used a manufacturer for the platform. We didn't develop it ourselves, so there was already a mechanism out there. And then resources from the communication department to fund the licensing that we needed for royalties as well as the app itself. So really the communication department played a big part of getting that funded.
Oh, that's cool. So when I listen to UCM Radio-The Beat, usually during the day, it's a lot of country music that is aired. So is there anything that the students can do that, so they can have a chance to broadcast their own shows?
Oh, definitely. Right now, some of the faculty have created some of the radio shows to start populating it. Little by little, we are replacing those shows by student-driven shows. We've had some talk shows. We had a biology show. We've had Campus Chatter, which won an award here earlier this year at the Missouri BEA. Students in the radio class create original programming as well. It could be either a music-based program or it could be a talk show. So little by little, we are replacing those initial programs and just heavy and light rotation where we've just auto-populated as students have decided that they want to do a show and have come up with a proposal and got it approved. Then they get to create their own show and get it on a time slot that they choose.
Well, that's fantastic. So what was the biggest challenge of getting this app started?
The biggest challenge was finding a service provider that would meet our needs and the needs of the students. They run in price range from a few $100s to several thousands of dollars for these types of programs. So really just finding the right mix that of convenience as well as functionality to allow students to record their programs, upload them, get the programming done. That was the biggest challenge that we found in just finding the appropriate one.
So for our last question of the day, were there any other, who were the people that helped you throughout this process quickly?
Okay, Dr. Moore, Dr. Price, our engineers, Darren Plummer, Scott Hofstetter, were instrumental in getting everybody together and figuring out how this is going to work and what we need to do with it.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you for coming out today and giving your time and giving us a brief overview about UCM Radio-The Beat. Well, that's all we have for the show today. Tune in next week where you can watch the Faces of UCM.